this. So this is basically an invoice data. The question here is total overdue days. It means we need the sum of all the days which are in negative, which are overdue in column difference. Now here probably we'll start with this equals to and sum formula that I've already discussed in the previous video. So we're going to use sum and then tab, and here in this case we are going to select the range of all the negative numbers, and then we'll probably close down the bracket and we'll press enter, and we'll get the sum which is minus 63. But the problem is right now all the negative numbers are continuously available. But what if these numbers are randomly available? I'll show you an example. Just have a look. Let me copy and paste it down. I'm talking about the data like this. In this I have random negative numbers. You may be probably thinking that we can actually use equals to sum and then we'll select this range, then comma this range, and like that. But if we have maybe 10,000 random negative numbers, then in that case we need a very solid formula, a concrete formula that will try to find out the negative numbers by itself. Now here just think about it. Sum, count, average, these are very dumb formula. In what sense? If we'll just give them a range, they will do the calculation of their own name on the complete range without thinking twice that we want to do the calculation on the complete range or maybe something from that range. So that is why we actually need something that calculates a piece of information out of the complete range. For example, right now I'm asking you to do the sum of all the negative numbers. But what if after a couple of minutes I'm going to ask you to do the sum of all the positive one, and after that maybe something in between? It's very simple, guys. I don't think so that you'll ever face this kind of day in your life that when you'll go to your workstation and you'll get an email from your boss that you have only one thing to do in this day, is that you have a list of 10,000 numbers and you need to do the sum of that. That sounds funny, isn't it? The situation you will not gonna get. You'll always get a situation that, okay, we have let's say 10 branches, you need to do the sum of the revenue generated from a couple of branches out of those 10 branches. So talking about the conditions basically. So whenever you work, you always face a condition. That is the most common part in everybody's life. So here we are going to talk about that. We need the sum on the basis of a condition, and the condition over here is all the negative numbers. Now let me undo this and go back to the previous data, this one, and let's do this. We need the sum of all the negative numbers. So we need a formula that will calculate the sum on the basis of a condition. Now, whenever a condition comes up in Excel, we always use a formula which is if. Now here, if you want to do the sum on the basis of a condition, we already have a formula which is sum if. If you want to do count on the basis of a condition, we already have a formula which is count if. If you want to do average on the basis of a condition, formula will be average if. But if you want to do VLOOKUP, for example, on the basis of condition, we do not have VLOOKUP if with us. But yes, we have VLOOKUP as a separate formula and if is a separate formula that we can club and we'll get the result out of it. So here we go, guys. We need the sum on the basis of a condition. So in place of sum, we are going to use sum if. Here we go, equals to sum if. I'm going to press tab. Now just read out the sentence. This is very much important. Range, criteria, and sum range. Range is bold right now. It means it's an active argument. We are standing on this argument. Criteria is basically the condition, and sum range, which is in square bracket, it's an optional argument as I discussed in the previous video. Now here, range is basically the range in which we have the criteria. Criteria means the condition. Now condition as per the question, which is total overdue days. It means total of all the negative values. Now condition is basically negative. Now where are those negative values? Are in column G. Range will be column G. So I'm going to select the complete this range because here Excel will going to find out that where are those negative numbers. This is not our job to say that it should be G6 to G10. We'll give it a complete range, and now Excel will determine where are those negative numbers on the basis of the criteria that we are going to give. Now comma criteria means the condition. You know that condition is negative numbers. So now negative number is basically we cannot write negative as a word in Excel. Listen to me very carefully. We cannot write negative as a word in Excel because Excel is a kind of a text blind program. It doesn't know text. And you cannot actually put a text in a formula. But yes, if you want to put it, we can actually use double quotes to put it and it will recognize it. Now, clearly negative word will not work. That is why we have to think about from a numbers perspective. That is a kind of a number line. In a number line, if you want to say all the negative numbers, we are going to say less than 0. Now in less than 0, think about it, guys. I'm just going to escape it. I'll explain you one thing. Less than 0 part. Less than 0 is basically this. Now in this case, 0 is a number, but what about this less than symbol? Less than is a symbol that comes under text. So that is why we have to put it under double quotes. So we are going to write it like equals to sumif tab, this range that we have already discussed, comma, criteria will be less than 0. That should be in double quotes, less than 0, double quotes. Now sum range. What is sum range? The range from where we want the ultimate sum. So as per the question, we need the sum of all the days, all the overdue days. So days are again in column G. So sum range will be again column G. I know it sounds confusing that your range is equal to sum range because somehow it's a coincidence in this question. So whenever your range is equal to your sum range, in that case, you can leave sum range because it's an optional argument. What do I mean by that is, if I just close down the bracket here and if I press enter, I'll get the answer which is minus 63. Just have a look, minus 63. And in any case, if I edit the formula, I'll press comma, and if I give it a selection of the sum range, and again if I close down the bracket and if I press enter, I'll get the same answer, because sum range is an optional argument and you can leave if it is equals to your range. Now the question may be probably in your mind that in which case you are going to have these both ranges different. So now the second questions solve that query that you have in your mind. So total overdue amount. Total overdue amount means we need the sum of all the amounts which belongs to negative numbers. Overdue amount. So if I just have a look, the overdue amount will be the sum of these numbers because these are corresponding to these negative numbers, and that will be 9037.06. Now we are going to use the same formula which is sumif. So equals to sumif tab. Now range, criteria and sum range. Range will be again where we have the criteria. So first we need to determine the criteria, the condition. Now total overdue amount. It means again the amount which are corresponding to the negative numbers. Now think about it. Again the condition is in column G and we need the sum of amount, so that is in column D. The common mistakes people do when they do this kind of situation for the first time, they say that range is column D, which is amount, and that is completely wrong. Think about it. The range will be column G because we have the condition in column G, and sum range will be column D. So range will be this one, comma, and that you have noticed that it's a complete range because Excel is going to take up all the negative numbers by default on the basis of the condition, comma. Criteria will be, again we are talking about overdue, which is negative. So again it will remain same, which is double quotes, less than 0, double quotes, comma. Sum range will be the range from where we want the ultimate sum. So that is this range, the complete range. Now we'll close down the bracket and we'll press enter. See this, the same answer which we were talking about, 9037.06, which is this one. Now let me show you one thing. Let me try to audit this formula. If I change any positive number into negative, let's say minus 20. Okay, so you can see that it will take up $250 in total automatically. If I press enter, here we go, it has taken, and even this answer is also changed and added 20 because it is in negative. So let me undo it and we are good to go. The third one is total amount for Oregon only. It's very simple, guys. This is the very common scenario that you may face in your work, which is if you have, let's say, 10 offices and you come up with a situation in which you want to do the sum of all the expenses belongs to your office only. So this is the kind of situation that we are facing. Or maybe your company is selling 10 products. So the total revenue that you have generated from a particular product. So this is that question. So total amount for Oregon only. It means we need the sum of all the amounts which belongs to Oregon. Here we have majorly 3 offices. It could be 30 also. So don't worry about it. Our formula will give us the result correctly. So formula will remain same, equals to sumif. I'm going to press tab. And now range, criteria, sum range. Now try to guess these arguments. Now I hope that you are getting comfortable now. So guess these arguments. You can pause the video right now and you can guess it, and before I can explain you. Now range is basically again the range where we have the criteria, and sum range is the range from where we want the ultimate sum. Now think about it. Criteria, total amount, we need the total of amount. So basically this is going to be our sum range, which is the amount one. This is going to be our sum range for Oregon only. Now we have a list of offices out of which we are targeting only Oregon. So basically Oregon is going to be our criteria and range will be offices and sum range will be column D. So here we go. Let me select the range which is offices, comma, criteria is Oregon. So it's very simple. We're going to do one thing. We'll just put double quotes and we're going to write Oregon. Just remember one thing, this word is not case sensitive. You can put it in capital letters, you can put it in small letters, proper in any way, but you should remember one thing, that spelling should be correct. There should not be any spaces, nothing. And sometime I have seen that people write equal to Oregon like this. I'll show you, equal to Oregon. Now this equal to symbol is not required. It will give you the result like this also. So I'll press comma now. The argument that you can see is active is sum range. Now sum range amount one, bracket, and then there we go, 7685. I'll click on the you can do, so you get 5 right. Now I'll show you equals, and that is probably a very that we have now double or a cell Oregon, which this one contains the work for us. Value sum, but do remember do this text such, so you will close down answer. Now the next will accept Oregon. Now this is the sum of all these to Oregon. So right now we have only 3 offices. Okay, so if you are thinking only the Oregon one, which is not going to talk, so use sumif again, but there is a catch with the criteria. I'll show you. Now, if you talk about the problem will lies in only one thing, which is not, we are equal to not a catch. I'll show you the formula, which is sumif tab. Now range, criteria, sum range. Now criteria is basically not equal to Oregon. Now where is that not equal to Oregon? That is in the range of column C, which is offices, and sum range is column D. You agree? Now let me give it a range.